Long story short, Chex Quest is the product placement of the game, but I mean, not like product placement really works. I'm not going to be buying Chex anytime soon, so. Welcome to an interesting video I got for you today. This game, known as Chex Quest, is a memory from my childhood that all but vacated until recently. I was browsing the Switch eShop and found this on a sale. This was an HD remake of the first game here, and I had to replay it, so I did. What is Chex Quest? You're asking probably a lot of questions, really, but that's the interesting tidbit about this game. A game to advertise a well-known brand. Does it work? Is it good? And what is the deep interconnected lore of the Chex universe? God help us all. Well, I guess let's just quickly dive in. This is going to be Chex Quest, released for the PC in 1996. Let's dive in. Advertising and product placement is not uncommon at all. I mean, you gotta get people to know about it before anyone may buy it. I feel products shoved in games are not super really common though. I'm no expert in this field, but I'm assuming it's a bit of a gamble sometimes for video games. I see this a lot more for movies or popular actor advertise a product for a commercial rather than trying to integrate something into a video game's narrative. The 90s seemed to be a unique time for gaming as many companies tried to connect the gaming sphere after its boom in the 80s. No, I guess I get it. This decade was already a time of wacky mascots and that type of loud in-your-face advertising we kind of saw. So Chex, it mainly is seen as a breakfast food cereal for the American audience. Just some pretty plain and bland corn cereal with various types in rice, wheat, and a few other flavors over the time. Also found and pretty popular is Chex Mix, a blend of Chex pieces, pretzels, and other snack-type items in assorted flavors. These are seen as your chip-style food and a pretty common snack for get-together parties, and I still can't believe I'm fucking doing this. That's really all the focus I want to put into the food itself. Folks in other countries probably have something close enough or simply better. The game proper saw the development with the desire to promote and give some life for the cereal for the younger audience. The brand has been around since 1936, and from personal experience, the late 90s and 2000s had a wide array of wacky cereals to compete with. Now, food tie-in games are not that crazy before and after. Cool Spot and Pepsi Man for soda brands 7-Up and take a wild fucking guess. McDonald's and Burger King had a fair share of video games in the fast food area. M&M's had a surprisingly high quantity of games, no thanks to Nintendo and the shovelware kings of the DS and the Wii. And even far reaches of food like a mobile game based on Bush's Baked Beans. God doesn't exist. Oh, also there was going to be a California Raisins game for the NES subtitled The Grape Escape. According to the internet, it was apparently going to be made by Capcom, but got cancelled. Never mind, I take it all back. God is real and did us a huge favor. Anyways, Chex proper. A few folks under the Ralston Foods brand megacorp overlooking Chex were tasked with making the game. The budget was around 500,000 USD and was planned to be slipped into a few million boxes of Chex. An interesting move for a game with seemingly actual effort put in for a respectfully low budget. Seemed to make a game that could be enjoyed for all ages and thrown into a cereal, a pretty affordable thing that added a no additional value to the cereal when buying it. And of course, cereal can be enjoyed by pretty much anyone as well. A full game for the price of a box of cereal is pretty wild. Many people would expect garbage if released today. Also seemingly unrealistic was the budget. However, they had ways to bypass a lot of gaming issues. The game engine and many other parts are ripped straight from Doom, specifically the Ultimate Doom. License was obtained from id Software, and some employees even had prior experience with modding Doom levels. Looking at the original game, it's no surprise this was ripped from Doom. It is all but mimicking the first levels of Doom, what with the different asset arts and music. The game had an obviously non-violent approach to it, meant to be mainly going for kids of course, which is funny because they chose motherfucking Doom as a base, but I digress. I could touch upon some of the more changes when we get into the game proper, so I'll leave that here. Sales and reviews are a bit tricky here. The main goal was to increase sales of Chex brand, not to make a highly successful game in this sense. The brand did see a wild boost in sales over the next year, and general consensus was the game was fun, witty, and a pretty solid Doom clone. Yeah, it wasn't meant to innovate the gaming scene, but it seemed to at least revitalize a brand that needed a sort of mascot in an era where any and every brand had some sort of cartoon mascot to represent them. Critically, however, was rather shooed away as a Doom clone and nothing that shook the scene. Like fair, I guess, but it just kind of said that it clearly was missing the overall point, but oh well. Fast forward to the present day, it had a dedicated cult following and its fans are easier on the game. A licensed modded game with assets changed to place a lot of corporate products is pretty crazy to think about for the late 90s too. Enough love came for this little idea as they eventually dropped 2 sequels for download and don't have a whole lot of them really.
Damn boy, he's thick!
Fans continued to the 2010s, where one of the original creators of Chex Quest, Charles Jacoby, who had been with the series for the whole of it, was asked about a sequel. People rallied for a Kickstarter-funded sequel of Chex Quest 4, but there was obviously worry due to, big cereal. However, come 2016, a surprise dropped where Jacoby announced a remake of the original Chex Quest. Obviously, with the HD updates and all that jazz, we saw a few new changes, specifically with the characters and story. The story chains revolve more around the Chex Mix pieces, and each one is their own unique character. The main character, just being dubbed the Chex Warrior in the first game, was changed to Fred Chexter as the leader, though not much of that is really different. The remake released in 2020 and kept a good amount of what the original game was, so let's actually get into that. On the planet Bazoik, the evil race of Flemoids are invading the place and kidnapping residents. The Chex Warrior is here to stop them. In the remake, all the characters you don't pick as your main character go missing as well, as they were left to help in the original game. The character you pick goes out to save everybody, and the remake has a lot of goofy and cheesy cutscenes with questionable voice acting.
That's ridiculous. What soldier'd be fool enough to enter a cavern full of unstoppable Flemoids from another dimension?
You choose your hero at the start, and they get introduced for us here. We have Fred Chexter, Wheatley Chexworth, Dr. Orion, NACL 96, Pretzel, and Shane the Dread McBread. Alright. They all have the vibe of intergalactic superhero or bounty hunters. Really, the game doesn't change a whole lot aside from you hearing their voice lines. But they all have unique endings, which is super cool, so pick your favorite, I guess. They're employed by this council of high Chex people, with government officials and military leaders. I can only assume that they spread the good word of Chex to the many planets or something. That or use the multifaceted Chex pieces for weapons of mass destruction, or maybe even torture methods. Chex waterboarding, anyone? We land on the planet Bazoik and eliminate all Flemoids. Well, not really. Our main weapon is called the Zorchers. These TV remote type ray blasters are not guns and do not kill the Flemoids. Obviously, this was sticking to a non-violent approach, so the Flemoids are Zorched back to their original dimension. Now, the melee weapon, if chose to, or just simply out of ammo, is a spoon, and yeah, I get it's cereal, but not sure how the spoon sends somebody back to a different dimension. Best not to dwell on it, I guess. There are a lot of upgrades and surprisingly high amount of Zorcher weapons to choose from. They also work like guns, obviously ripped from Doom, but whatever floats the cereal. That joke sucked. The main goal of each level is getting to the designated end. Now that's obvious, of course, but there are each secrets to find, usually health, armor, ammo, and new weapon upgrades. Aside from secrets, the levels also score in general time used to beat the level and amount of Flemoids Zorched in the level. The progression of levels is rather open-ended to a degree, usually finding a colored key of red, blue, and yellow to access more of the facility. The game has 5 levels, typically the Chexified first 5 levels of Ultimate Doom, as I prefaced. The first level is the planet's surface, it's the entrance of the research facility. It's rather solid and slowly introduces more and more Flemoids hitting you with their mucus. The characters you play have a lot of many quips, like this is getting to Gex levels of constant yapping.
It's big. It's got 4 walls, a ceiling, a floor. This must be a big room.
Awesome, baby. Great balls of fire! It would seem I have smoked you.
I can't say a lot of them are really funny, just cheesy. Maybe it was Mr. Chexter himself with worst lines of the bunch, but oh well. The second level is a storage facility. True to its name, you get to be moving around a bunch of storage crates. Level 3 is a research center, kind of forgettable. Level 4 is an arboretum, which gives some nice level diversity and felt a bit more obtuse in terms of general level design and progression. Lastly is the Caverns of Bazoik. This is where Flemoid's threat has spawned from. Waves of mucus monsters here are many, and can and will mess you up. At this point, you should have a lot of Zorchers to swap from to deal with the seemingly endless waves. Going back to secrets, careful exploration grants more weapon upgrades as I said. My favorite is the electric spork. It works like the spoon and does melee damage of course, but can be held down for massive sporking. Hold up, that sounds wrong. The stun-lock potential with this bad boy is crazy. Going up solo with a Flemoid makes the game easy mode. Against mobs, however, better use a Zorcher on them. Who knew the most effective weapon against an intergalactic booger would be a spork? Jeez, I think I got a booger in my nose, hold up. Let's go. Once you destroy this gross flamoid wall in the caverns, you beat the level and you get the ending. So say to get a unique ending with each character, given that this game is less than an hour, it's pretty easy to replay. You can go for the 100% on each level by wiping out every flamoid, getting all the secrets, and getting every item. You can also try to speedrun it if that's your choice. Each level gives you an average time to beat for that level too. Or just play one if you're that guy to favor Chex Mix Piece of Supremacy and only eat that one type. I think you're also psychotic. And really that's the game. It's pretty underwhelming, and being honest here, the game is pretty bare bones, but even in that sense, was it supposed to turn heads? Well, obviously not. Being a promotion piece that was given out for free, this is a great time. Obviously, you pay for the HD version, but it's not breaking the bank with this asking price. This oozes that fan-made mod we see for many of wide bertha games nowadays. And that's cool. It was pretty damn cool that this paved the way for game mods. Not saying this was the catalyst or model for all modern, but it was ahead of the curve. Having backing by a large food conglomerate certainly helps, especially when paying out the license fees, but hey, it's still cool nonetheless. I mean, this game would not exist if they wanted to mimic a Nintendo franchise for their Chex game, as Nintendo would cut off their fingers, sue them for bankruptcy, and torture them with the same cereal they proposed the product with. As it stands, the fan base is small, but seemingly devoted. I saw a lot of support for the game, and it's cool that General Mills even allowed the remake. I mean, a branded game that is pretty fun, if not simple to play, is cool to see. Now, of course, using the foundation of one of the most influential FPS games ever is a solid start, but hey, it's neat all the same. While the HD version is accessible far more, I missed the classic Doom design of the original. It was super iconic, and seeing a bunch of cereal covering the game was just kinda awesome. Regardless, this game is not one I necessarily recommend people play. It's okay, and if you got the money, might as well throw it in. It's really not that big of a time investment, but it does the job better as a niche footnote in gaming that has a lot more going for it and everything except the actual game. Its history is wacky and hopefully will stick around for its legacy as a Doom-esque cereal clone brand deal. And hey, Chex is around today. Am I insinuating that this game kept it afloat? Well, no. I doubt product placement is that effective. Just a goofy thought for y'all. I mean, nobody's actually gonna buy Chex after playing this game. What?